Guru team, welcome aboard. Welcome to Frostpunk 2. This is an unusual one for me because I'm overdubbing this. Normally I would be recording this live, but I had a little bit of problems with my recording, and I lost the sound. So as it is, I'm starting Frostpunk 2 here on the console on the PlayStation 5, and I'll be recording the voiceover here. So I just turning the music volume down so that I can actually hear myself think. I'm sure the music's great, but it's a bit loud. I think it's probably still a little bit too loud, and I think I'll go back and adjust it. So yeah, so I did this live. So because I did it live, it ended up being slightly longer than an hour, which is fine. But for this, because I have to redo it again, I think we should be okay. We should be fine. We should run the full hour and a half. Sorry, and I did that because there's a little quest thing to do. So Frostpunk 2, yeah. I mean, I played the original Frostpunk. I don't know if it was my favorite game. I mean, I like strategy builder games and sim games and all that, and Frostpunk 2 certainly come within that genre. I'll just turn it down a bit more. But I mean, I guess the thing for me is that the original Frostpunk was a little bit like you had certain milestones to achieve, and once you've achieved those, and you could only kind of achieve them in a certain way, kind of. At least that was my impression. That it meant that the game had a sort of a lack of replayability because you were very limited to quests. And I'm hoping Frostpunk 2 itself is a bit more sandbox, because I felt that mode was kind of missing from the original Frostpunk, and it was not really, the depth wasn't there. So I'm hoping from everything that I've seen and heard so far from Frostpunk 2 that there's a little bit more depth. I haven't done an awful lot of watching streamers on PC or anything like that, so yeah, so I'm genuinely taking it from not really knowing. So yeah, we'll just get into it, and we'll see what it's like from there, shall we? And I think we'll do it, just as a beginner, which for if you've never done Frostpunk before, this is how you're going to be starting, right? So there you go. So this is about how the world froze to death and civilization crumbled and the failing British Empire. Yeah. So anyway, let's see how the game starts, shall we?
Hear us, Stuart. Can you hear us? Captain!
Do you hear us?
A generation ago, we fled the crumbling British Empire as the world surrounds us. I held New London together. United, we survived 30 years of whiteouts. But the world around us is dead. Empty.
Right. Take it. The city grows.
Leicesters.
Merely surviving is not enough. We have to expand. After all, it's us who survived the end of the world. It's us who survived.
Yes.
dark, really, isn't it? Good for a John Hurt or Gary Oldman voiceover, I would think, if they could afford him, which I don't think they can. But anyway. Right, so here we are. And this is kind of a prologue kind of a thing. So getting used to the game mechanics. And I can't guarantee that the game mechanics on Frostpunk 2 are exactly the same as on Frostpunk. Right, so here we are, teaching the basics and the interface. It's a complex interface, which I'll probably spend the next hour and a half slightly struggling my way through, to be fair. But it's not that bad, I think, once you get to know it. I think they've done a pretty good job of trying to figure that out, so we'll have a look at it. So it's just going through the basics of the camera controls and things. We're clustered around this old dreadnought, which is, remember, from the first game, is like these big old airships kind of things. So yeah, you know, not bad. Plenty of noise. So you have to, on this one, you have to frost break to get anywhere. So before you get to anything, there's always a certain amount of work to be done. So you actually have to break through things, and we'll see that in action shortly. And then obviously we have, you know, the various other bits and pieces in terms of how to interact with things, left and right stick, and so on and so forth. And this menu system that they have for doing different things, doing different selections. And I like they have this rotating wheel down at the bottom, which is really cool, actually. I don't think I've seen that, not this way, not this particular way. I've seen wheel selections before, but not like this. So this is using the D-pad left and right. And this is frost breaking. So you can do a maximum of 8 tiles at a time for a crew of people, I guess, which is what these segments are. So everything's kind of a little bit a la Catan. You know, you got these hexagonal squares. It's very much like a board game. They've obviously tried to make the squares not exactly hexagonal, so it gives a little bit more kind of thought, but you can feel the squares on the map. So it's a case of saying, well, you know, how many hexagons does it take to get from point A to point B, and so on. So this is our little tester area, little prologue area. It's not very big, yeah, which is kind of the point, right? You're not here to do a big deal of work. You're here to just kind of learn the basics, and by basics I mean like the absolute nuts and bolts basics. So you select how you're going to get to where you're going to get to. It doesn't seem like you have to do all of it, and you have speed up and slow down time. So it's currently paused, top left corner, but you can speed it up and slow it down like a bunch of others, and you can pause it. I think if I remember correctly, there was no pause in the original Frostpunk, which was one of the issues. Was trying to get stuff done sometimes was quite hard, because at a certain level you're doing 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different things, right? And the problem is that you can't pause stuff. So you've got events happening and things happening and a whole load of stuff, and sometimes you just need to take a break and think, you know, what am I going to do and how am I going to do it? So anyway, once you've frost broken your way through, it's then a case of like building things on top of it and getting used to how the menu selection works. So that's not what I want. It's somewhere around here. I can't remember as I'm doing the voiceover exactly what the controls are to start the building, but it gives you a tutorial to go through, you know, all the bits and pieces you need to know about resource deposits. How you sort that out, it's very similar. Usually you've probably seen before. You've got a resource deposit, it's got a finite amount of stuff in it, and you can use that and so on as you want. I suppose, you know, these tutorial things, they're not really tutorials. This is just a was just an explanation. It's just a manual. I don't necessarily always find them helpful. Maybe you do, but they do have them. You can check them out. It's more of a, what is it they call it? A codex. You know, it's a repository of information, not a suppository of a repository of information, which is fine. I'm just struggling here to try and figure out how you actually build on it and have a little nosy at what it all means and everything. I'll figure it out. Don't you worry. Go on, click on it. There you go. That's right. That's what you want. No. Not buildings. Districts. Go to districts. Go on. No, that's frostbreaking. No, not a hub. A district. Yeah, go right there. Right there. Do that. Yes, there you go. You see, and this opens up your build menu. And from inside here, you can go left and right as well. But obviously, you build an extractor. So you've got housing, which is not an extractor. So housing's a district. Then you've got materials extraction and housing extraction. Food extraction, sorry. So that's how that works. And it's got, finite numbers of stuff and things. We'll go through what some of those bars mean at the top and everything. But obviously, you'll see that there's again these 3 bars just under extraction district on the right, and you have to connect all 3. I mean, maybe you don't need to connect all 3, but from my perspective of using the game, I think you do have to click. Well, I mean, I click on all 3. I'm not sure if it makes a huge amount of difference, really, whether you use 1, 2, or 3, other than the amount of tile space that it's using up. Not sure, but it obviously costs you money. You got your prefabs, you got your scraps, you got your workforce. We'll cover some of those. Workforce is quite simple. That's people, right? So top left, people, 1,000 people. You start with 1,000 people, which is fine. And then they start obviously building that, and then that will extract oil. In this case, it's going to build my extractor, oil thing, or whatever it is, which is great. So you'll get oil going and use oil to drive the furnace, obviously, on the Dreadnought, because that's what you want, right? You want heat. This game is still, well, at least, for the first part, heat is still important. I'm led to believe it's not as important as the earlier game. As the Frostpunk game. So you select this, you've obviously got a furnace, it's got an on button, it says it's turned off, but you can turn it on. I think it's left stick off the top of my head is to go up and down through the menu, and the usual kind of X to select and so on. And then you can turn it on, and now it's on, and now it's consuming stuff. So now the furnace is running. And we have a lot of oil. It's like, what is it, like 60k oil or something? But we need shelter, of course, housing. We need to get people out of the cold. People are outside in tents, etc. So you need prefabricated parts, and you need to get that from wreckage. So I think on this map there's, 1, 2, 3 different types of extractor. So we'll just have a look. There's a thing here for how you get into the other parts of the UI. Because there's obviously things up there, and I want to just go through having a look at some of those things, explaining what they are in terms of that. This is just me trying to mess with some of the audio, because it's still quite noisy, and there's quite a lot of sound effects and things. It's great if you're playing alone, if you're trying to think and speak and play the game for content. it can be quite challenging. We'll just sort that out. Right, back to the game. Square. It's square for extended city view. And then use the left stick to move around. I get this so wrong so many times. By the end of an hour and a half, I've almost got it down so I know what I'm doing. But I mean, that's part of the game, right? So many games have got layers of complexity that trying to use the user interface is like half the job. It's not the game. It's figuring out how to drive the menus that run the game. That's the problem, isn't it? Or not problem. So anyway, so we've found our way up to the top, and we've found the population. And we've got the Wanderers at the bottom. The Wanderers is our current community type. I don't know if that changes. Obviously, you can have a look at that, and it's got the various bits and pieces in terms of how they favor you, which is the double-ended bar below. So rather than being a single-ended bar, it's single-ended bar, right? You know what I mean? Instead of it running just one direction, it runs in both directions. So anyway, you make decisions, and they will like you, they will love you, or hate you based on those decisions. So, do we want to give some scrap back, or do we want to take some scrap away? If you take stuff away, they don't like you. So we do. So you can see that the bar extends in both directions. Bi-directional is what I mean, right? And that is that's something that you want to be very careful about, is how much they like you. Certainly, there are some challenges where if they dislike you very much, you end up losing the game. And maybe, I don't know, you can play that. Maybe there's a sandbox mode you can play that in, or change those things. Anyway, here we are, back on the menu. So we have a population that's rising steadily. Well, that's good. It's good that the population is rising steadily. We then have how many people are employed, and how many people are, I think it's sick. So I think the one with the line through it is sick, or not available for work, or something. I mean, you'll see it change over the course of this hour and a half. And I think a lot of it is predominantly because the people begin to get sick, adverse outcomes, cold, etc. So yeah, so that's that. Scraps. Pardon me. Scraps is a generated product. You don't mine for it. You don't extract for it. It's generated. You generate so many a week. Prefabs you do mine for. This is the temperature gauge. This shows you how much you're making. Oil is how much you're making and how much you're using. You've got shelters. How many people are sheltered. Back to oil again. We're just looking at seeing how much spare we got. So you got how many people are in houses. Not everybody is in houses. Obviously, we haven't built enough houses yet. That's just why people outside get cold and so on. Then you got food. We haven't sorted any food out yet. We've got materials. We haven't sorted any of those out yet. Materials are something else you need to build with. You've got materials and prefabs and food. So this is actually four extractions. Yeah, that's right. There's prefabs, materials, food, and oil. And scraps is income generated. You have down here, which is the health of your community. Are they hungry? Disease. I think disease is kind of more broadly disease. They're saying they're fumes from industrial stuff and various other bits and pieces, like occupational diseases and hazards and things. You've got the overall temperature, which I think is the temperature outside, how cold it is outside. Currently it's minus 20 degrees outside. So you see that the disease is starting to increased by Chile district, which is a heat-related issue. And then you've got that other menu we zip through, and then you've got the menu on the right, which is a calendar, which I'll talk about slightly more later. And just talking there about health. Squalor means that people get sick more if they're living in squalid environments, right? So it's not bad. It's not a bad menu. Covers all your basic topics, the usual kind of things. Similar idea to the original Frostpunk, I guess. So that's it. So we need to crack on. So we cover the basics and cover some of the other things and have a look around what's actually on our map. A lot of that stuff seems to be visual. You've got things that if you hover on them, they'll come to life if they're a thing. Except maybe the food stuff's probably a little bit harder to see. But it will change if you go to some of the different views. So you'll see there's an oil wagon. So the oil wagon comes up if you go over it, and then that's the ice sea, which it doesn't seem like we ever get involved with for this particular scenario. Right. We need some more stuff. That means frost breaking out to somewhere and opening it up. It's sort of your method of exploration. It seems quite onerous for a method of exploration, but I'm guessing they feel like they need it in there for a reason. And obviously we need houses. And again, we have the option for 6 tiles for housing. I'm assuming you want to build it out. What's not immediately clear from this menu interaction is how many housing that creates. So it just says housing, and it tells me what it costs, but it doesn't actually tell me how many people does that house. I mean, it says up at the top -8, but -8 people, 8 people need a house. So how many segments do you need to build to house 8 people isn't clear, and that's something I really think that it would be nice if they had in there. So I don't know. I mean, at this stage, presumably we want a lot of houses, so we may as well build the lot. But you know, assuming you can afford it in terms of prefabs and scraps and workforce at this stage. It's a bit of a weird one, that one. Not sure about that. So there you go. Housing is underway, and we won't know the details about how many houses that ultimately builds until we see it. This is me trying to figure out how many houses appear in a district. The answer is, I just don't know. Well, no one that's built. We're also still frost breaking our way out to that product that we need to deal with. This is the heat maps. Well, this is the overlays maps, which are very nice, very good. I like them, and I also like the fact that we've got, you know, wind arrows and stuff. So again, heat and cold always was an issue in Frostpunk. How do you keep people hot? How do you know what's hot? How do you know what's not hot? How do you connect heat between places? I don't know the long details of how this factors into Frostpunk 2, but it's a very nice overlay. That's the overlay with the resources. Obviously, you're just, you know, scrolling through the menus down at the bottom, left and right, and so on. Pardon me. I like the kind of you know, inverted negative image kind of stuff. I like that. Sometimes it's kind of hard to forget, especially with this game. There's so much white. You spend so much time staring at a white screen. You know, sometimes it's good for your eyes to have a little break from something that's just glaringly, dazzlingly white. That's where your workforces are working. Obviously shows you the number of people working in the various places. That's the buildings, which I never really get around to. That's heat and fuels, which tells you how much fuel you're using or generating and how much heat it's making. You know, so at the Dreadnought using 10 fuel and producing 20 heat, right? And we're short some heat. We're not generating enough heat, but it's something to play with. Food. Well, at this stage we haven't got any food, so that's not exactly a great big supplies. Materials. Again, at this stage we're not really generating any materials. We're using some up for sure. Community presence. That presumably comes in later with the diplomacy things and the district area effects. Again, I'm presuming that there's something about that later. I don't know what it is, but at this stage it's not important, I suppose, for the basic tutorial. So again, just having a little noodle around, looking at the various bits and pieces that appear. You got your housing district and how much that costs. It still doesn't say there. It says 15 shelter. So presumably for the whole lot is 15. And I don't know if you can do a portion of that. Actually, I didn't really try that at the time. I don't think. It might be something to bear in mind for the future. So if it's 15. then it's my assumption that we're -8. So my vicarious mathematics suggests to me that we'll be +7 when that's built. If I stop noodling around the various districts and having a look at them. We're still on pause, which is fine. Just getting used to the interface, like I say, getting used to moving around and seeing things and checking things. That's probably important. Sorry, a different microphone. You're probably hearing a lot of strange noises. Sorry about that. Like I said, this is not my normal setup, so I'm trying what I can. So this is me having a look at scraps. It says, people generate scraps. So scraps is a kind of an income-based thing, and it's timely, meaning you only get it generated, once in a while. So it's an anchor on some of your production because you can't mine for it. You do need it, but it's only generated at a particular rate. So you can't just improve, you can't build more without scraps, so you have to wait. So anyway. So extraction district. At this point I'm like, oh, do I need all 3? I never actually tried to see if I don't need all 3. No, that doesn't come into play. That doesn't come into play in this scenario, nor does the council, nor any of that. But this is stuff that obviously comes into its own in the main game. So that wagon will produce prefabs. So I just decided here to just build around it, just go around it. I certainly think for frost breaking you don't need to use up all the full amount. That's just, again, it's another limit. There's some limits to things, imposed limits. So this will produce prefabs. So we have 240 prefabs, but we're going to need more because prefabs are required for construction. So you just need to make sure you wait until your scraps come in, really, and then build that out. It seems to be like building the extraction stuff. It's not necessarily reflective of where you build it. So what I was thinking when I was going through this at the time was, you may have got food to go for. You may have played other resource extraction games where you place a harvester over the resource, and depending on how well the harvester fits over the resource, how large it is, etc., it will tell you what percentage of that resource you're getting. So you might be extracting only 60% of that resource, or you might be extracting 100% of that resource. I haven't run across it in this, so anyway, I don't know. But we need to get onto food, which is quite a surprise that they would have patches of fertile soil under the ice that are still working. But I guess, soil is soil, I suppose. Dig it up and thaw it out and plant stuff in it. But, you can grow things, even if it's only very simple things to begin with, I suppose. So you can see that the food is there, but again, you need to get to them. So then it's a case of saying, well, just exactly how many segments, how many segments of your board are you going to have to clear to get to your food, and which is closer. And it's not necessarily immediately obvious. So I think it's worth, certainly when you're looking at this kind of exploration mechanic, to sort of say, well, how many, you can count the tiles and say, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles that way. How many tiles is there in another direction, right? So that's off tile view. So we're not looking at tiles. We're just looking generally at the cinematic map. This is the the build map. So again, sort of getting used to noodling in and out of stuff and have a look at things, etc. So yeah, so frost breaking tiles. Well, I need to have a look at how much stuff I need for a food district. 200 people, 140 prefabs. So it needs some materials there. Is that materials? Or is it scraps? Scraps, sorry, not materials. It needs it's got a materials demand to operate. So materials operation, prefab, scraps, and people construction, right? So you can build it. That's great, but you need materials to run it. So we go out here. This is obviously the nearest food so far, and we've run out of stuff. So we've run out of people actually. So that's a bit. So you can unselect a tile if you get it wrong, and go, actually, I think I may have gone a different way. So you don't need to. There is a method to go back and realize that you made a mistake. So you can get most of the way there. So there you go. So that's the frost breaking. Oh, there's still more people required. How do you get more people? Well, juggling people is always one of those things, isn't it? We'll have a look at that in a minute. So there you go. So now we've got to food. So we've got our way over to some quote-unquote fertile soil, which is fine. And I do notice from the houses that the houses did go up +7. So one housing district does house 15 people, obviously. Chuck the little pause menu on. How do you determine where you get people? Right, well, if you have a look at this menu, if I stop noodling around a little bit, you'll see that, oh, that's me switching between, there's a method of switching between districts. I think it's just the D-pad again. But yeah, so if you have a look at that interactive menu, you've got heat on the left, workforce on the right, and you've got requirements and deposit and output and demand, and if there's events and things. It just tells you about what's happening. It also tells you this is chilly. This is a chilly place. It's not particularly warm. We've got different levels of heat and cold terminology on this one. So yeah, so that's quite interesting. And like I said, once you get up here, it's left stick to move in and out of the menus. This is just me having a look around and getting used to it and going, oh, I wonder what this means. Oh, I wonder what that means. As you do. I mean, we've got a lot of oil remaining. 104 weeks of oil remaining. So we're having a look at here. So that was chilly. So how do we change it from being chilly? So you got warm, livable, chilly, cold, very cold, and freezing. Right? It says warming neighbors and warmth granted. I'm not sure what that relates to exactly. But you can also see, if you hover over there, you can increase and decrease the heating. So if you increase the heating, you increase the, from chilly to livable, which then, if it's the same as the original Frostpunk, reduces the frequency, likelihood, severity of the illnesses, because people who are cold get frostbite, etc. They get sick, they get various things, whereas if you keep them warm, they don't. So the theory goes anyway. But I mean, the main thing obviously is that you understand that there's production and output. So there's how much barrels excess have we got. Up at the top is pretty good, because you can see the heat level is fine. We don't have any deficit, and we're still producing plus 40 barrels of oil. So slightly different in that you can just increase the heat level. Previously in Frostpunk, that wasn't that simple, right? You had to do all kinds of upgrades. You had to buy new gear. You had to build new things, and so on, which was a bit of a nuisance. So here we go. This is our first event. The frost breaking has uncovered the frozen remains of a man in tattered uniform, which reads New London Scouts, and he bears an obscure insignia. Some of the elders claim it's a military organization, while others think it has religious significance. Maybe you have heard of New London and can settle the debate. So what do we want to do? This kind of thing that sets you off down a particular path symbolizes order, symbolizes faith, or neither. So, create a continuity in which New London had embraced order to survive, so there's some kind of events. The other one is create a continuity where New London has done faith, and the other, which is don't recognize, which I assume is perhaps chosen for you randomly. So rather than you picking one, you're just saying, well. So I'm presuming that has that effect decision leads to a particular path of event trees happening. So yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we need to crack on because we've still got some stuff to do. And we still don't have enough. What are we missing? We're not workforce, is it? 250 workforce. Probably scraps. Scraps seems low, about 39. It seems pretty low in the scraps department. Just me flicking through the various other bits and pieces, just having a bit of a nosy. See if there's any information in the general controls. Sometimes there is. I think this is where I'm trying to remember where the big overlay is. Yeah, it's square. It's square, my man. It's square. Right. These guys are down at the bottom again. They're doing okay. Nobody hates me, which is fine. Up here, this says decreased by notable hunger, so people are quite hungry. That's just temperature, it's surplus, squalor, food scarcity. People are hungry. I mean, as a note, you probably see that there's a black smoky tail under the hunger. That seems to get worse if if hunger is a bigger issue. Same with disease and squalor. It gets longer if that's a problem, and the other one on the other side, which I can't quite make that out on this screen. Sorry, I'm looking at it on a reduced size screen. Anyway, we do know we need food, so let's build some food. Again, 3 tiles to a district, I think. I think I'm assuming you have to build all 3. It seems to be like it only comes in to actually confirm the construction once you've placed all 3. So I'm guessing. Of course. Well, of course I am. I haven't played this before. Have you? Maybe you have. Hit the button. Yeah, that's it. Good lad. Let's see what the future holds. More food. Having a noodle around the map again. Oh yeah, over there on the right. That's the weeks, passage of weeks, like calendar, and it tells you that there's some things coming. So for example, the blue thermometer is a significant drop in temperature way over on the right. You can probably see there's a storm. That's not a good sign at all. So these are in weeks. And we're entering a colder season, so they do love throwing you in at the literal and metaphorical deep end on this one, by saying, hey look, there's some bad weather coming. It's the kind of thing that you want to keep an eye on. Certainly in the original Frostpunk they had a device you could build that would give you better weather warning. I'm assuming that there's some similarities in Frostpunk 2, and there's probably devices you can get that can give you that information maybe slightly further out or with a greater deal of clarity or something. I don't really know. But anyway, we need to do that. So here we go. Oh look, there's a whiteout coming. So we're doing okay, but there's a whiteout coming, and we need to produce more food than our current demand. And there's a second group of wanderers coming just over the horizon. So we must act quickly and we must be ready. So here you go. Here's another quest. Now I hope the whole Frostpunk 2 game doesn't have this quest driven element all the way through. You can see there that the black smoke coming off the bowl of food is quite significant by this stage. So we're quite significantly hungry. and we really need to start getting on top of that. We have a food place working, so it'll just take a little bit while, probably. And it still says, you know, we have people starving to death, basically. But that is probably going to get better. There's disease, which is being affected predominantly by hunger. But this is the materials scarcity side of things. I didn't quite realize, I think, at this stage that materials is a mineable resource. I'm not sure what I was thinking. Probably thinking of something else. But we now have a surplus of food that we can see. So we're stockpiling 17 per 1 day, which is fine. And a food district is producing 35. I'm assuming that's a base rate. But we have materials. And this is where I'm like, materials? What's a material? Where do you find a material when you're at home? So this is where I'm like, well, there's materials? Because I knew there was prefabs. And I knew there was food. I didn't realize, although obviously it's quite obvious to you, that there's materials caches immediately over to my left. So prefabs looks different, materials looks different, oil. So that's a prefab. That's a construction wagon. So they do prefabs. Right? So I'm like, prefabs. What's prefabs? And then there's food. And then, wait, is there another? What's this over here? Oh no, I've worked out where the materials is, and I'm like, right, how many tiles does it take me to get from where I am to where I need to be, and which is the shorter way round? So I do believe that the shorter way round is... It must be over the top. Is it over the top? Must be, it looks it. Although we're quite close to the bottom already. Right, we don't have enough people. You can see we've got 1,000 people, but we've only got 50 free. So our population hasn't declined. We still don't have, unavailable people yet. But we don't have enough people. How do you get more people? Well, you change the amount of people working, right? So, as I said to you before when we were looking at this, you got on the top, you got those two bars. You got everything's done like thermometers. You got that one, which is heat, and this one, which is people. So you can reduce the amount of people, and that frees up some staff. So you say, well, if we're making an overabundance of oil, maybe we don't need all that oil right now. Oil's not the critical factor at this juncture. The critical factor is we need to get materials, because we're not doing anything. We're struggling to produce because production requires materials. So you can slide that up and down. So then you're saying, right, okay, how many people are we going to need? That's too low. That's too high. So that's what we need to do, is we need to have a look at this and say, well, what's the balance? We'll see what balance I hit on, I suppose. Give me your best, Goose. What do you think we need? Come on, what do you think we need? What do we need? What do we need, man? Man, you tell me what we need. Do you think that much? That much. That's still making plus 22. That's plus 38, plus 70, plus 54. That was minus, that's nothing. That's plus 5, plus 6. Plus 5. That seems like enough. I mean, that's more than we need. I will notice that the temperature, how much fuel we actually require, has dropped. You'll see. We're back into chilly. So we're back into chilly, and we're then not actually using a lot. So our demand has dropped. So does that free up enough people to be able to start frost breaking away over to that material stockpile? a bit. A bit. Not the full way, but what can you do? Or is there more room to free up more people? That's just one extractor. Right. Oh, look, more people. More mouths to feed, people to house, stuff to expect. Yeah, so great. There's a bunch of them. How all these people survived? I mean, they're doing pretty well to survive this whole 30 years since the Great Whiteout or more. So anyway, there you go. Stockpile enough food to survive the whiteout in 65 weeks. How much do we need? 40,000 food. 40,000 food? I mean, this is what the game throws at you, and it's like 40,000. That seems like a lot. I mean, we're currently stockpiling like 220. And I'm not convinced that's enough. We got 95 weeks worth of food there, but we've only got 23.5k in that entire deposit. So there's 23,500. So even if we got that food out right now, next week, it's still not enough. Still not enough. So you're not going to do this with one supply of food, right? You're definitely not. And at this rate, we're not even stockpiling. We're spending. We're spending more than we're stockpiling. So we're not stockpiling enough food. We're not producing enough food, and there's not enough food in that resource pocket. So that's a challenge that is going to need to be met with more food production, right? Yes, it is. Trust me. And we need more materials because we still haven't sorted that out. Doesn't matter how many times you look at it, the answer is still going to be Shit Creek on the paddle. Materials. I'm a material. We must have more people. Scraps. We're short of scraps. We need to get that frost breaking done. And we need to get the old hustle in. So people are not a problem now. We got a lot of people. We've got 5,000 people. We got nearly 1,500 people. You see now we got 22 people that are unavailable for work. So I don't know what unavailable for work means. Sick? Wounded? Old? Young? The game has always, Frostpunk certainly, always considered the three tiers of generation. You know, that you had children that were too young to work, working age adults, and then you had old people, and then in between that you had sick, and you could have sick kids, sick adults, and all the rest of it. So it does take that into account. But anyway, we now have a material stockpile. Well, extractor, or will have once we've built it. So we have to build it first. So we can build an extractor. That's not a problem. We'll plonk that on there, and we'll start getting materials extracted because we need materials for production. It's a consumable resource, I guess, for production. So where do we go next? We gotta get more food. The short answer is we're gonna need more food. So we have only those food resources you can sort of see in the top there, really. But just exactly how far away are they? That one's actually only four or five tiles away. That one's kind of loosely the same, I think, and the other one's miles away. And then there's this thing down here on the ice floe, which will come up at some point. Can't quite pick on it now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we need one more, 5, and then that will. That's 6 actually, and then that will help us with another food production facility there. Obviously, people need houses, so we got people in there, but we also need housing. More housing. We're short. Was that 20? There's 2 more districts, and people are cold. The wind arrows. I hope, and it doesn't necessarily come up in this one, but I hope they maybe potentially have an impact on some things. So maybe there's different. The map has different areas. So when you're looking at this warm and chilly and etc., that building in the lee of a hill, if there's a predominant prevailing wind direction, in this case it's obviously southwest, but then maybe if you build in the lee of a hill, it doesn't get as cold. So you can structure the housing, put the housing in deep gullies where it might not be as cold because they're hidden away. Oh, here we go. A farmer pouring soil in his hands. We've been here so many times, the soil is depleting. Yes, okay. That was a very noisy device. So, exceptional measures. So we can ask the Wanderers to tighten their belts or instill emergency shifts in the food districts. So the game is going to want you to get into trouble, right? Frostpunk was the same. Frostpunk 2, I think, is going to be the same. You're never going to keep everybody happy 100% of the time, and the idea is this is an apocalypse. You're going to have to take drastic measures. I don't know if it extends to eating people. I don't know if we're heading down the Soylent Green path, or one boy and his dog. But you're going to have to do something. It isn't going to let you get away with being Mr. Nice Guy. So you have to do something. One of the things that I've found to be pretty useful before in Frostpunk is emergency shifts. So my first instinct here is to chuck in an emergency shifts. Emergency shifts usually doesn't change how annoyed the people are with you, but it will change things like the frequency of accidents. So we're just checking to see if we can reduce the amount of people here so we can free up the workforce for some more stuff, because we got some frost breaking and some food to get sorted. Prefab, we've got a few prefabs, so that's probably less important as a generational thing. We do have a set demand for them, which is a bit weird, but yeah, so there you are. We are making some. We don't really have a specific deductive need for them, so I'm not sure what the total demand is. That's materials. What are we looking at here? We're looking at prefabs. So prefabs use materials to make prefabs. So we'll cut that down because we need some, but we don't need a vast amount. So we now need to break our way down to the next food, which is the next closest food. The other one's miles away. It's 12 tiles away. This is still 5 tiles or something. Seven tiles away. It's 7 tiles away. So you can break out enough in one go with 8 tiles. So that's fine. So we'll get that food going. That's the main thing. Because we got time flies by. We got 58 weeks and we're about to hit our first cold snap, but not 2 million miles away. So yeah, so we need to kind of get on and sort that out. Not enough stuff to build yet in the old China. So just got to move on. Think of scraps. Yeah, we want more scraps because we need to build this food place. So let's get that done. You can see now the smoke below the disease is getting a lot larger. And we now have, what is that, 37 people who are not available for work. Oh, hey, look. Absentees. District temperature levels must remain above cold. Okay. Or something else. Well, oddly enough, nothing is cold at the minute. So I think this is a bit of a... It's a bit of a no-brainer, I think. But we've got a surplus of oil anyway. And oil doesn't seem to be such a big problem at the minute. Maybe just because the game's taking it easy on me for the tutorial side of things. I don't know. But it doesn't seem to be much of an issue. Got other problems. So we're currently stockpiling no food. Just point that out. No food. Right, well, we're still at minus 10 food, but we haven't finished building all our districts yet. So we've got one food district going. It's not even enough to supply our ongoing needs, let alone stockpiles. So we need heat and we need shelter, and there's an incoming coal crisis. So I mean, persevere won't work in this kind of scenario. We are going to have to get people warm, and we're going to have to get them in houses. That's that. It has up there reduced cold to minor cold. I'm thinking that this is an error, and that means something different, because I can't find a minor cold rating anywhere. So we've got our stockpile food, we've got instructor wonders to tighten their belts, which I haven't done yet. Reduce the cold to minor cold, build enough housing districts, we need 3. But we don't have minor cold, we've got chilly, cold, very cold and freezing and livable. So I don't know what that's presumably, possibly it means chilly, but we're already at chilly and it doesn't like it. So I think it means livable. So I think that's an error in the text, and that probably needs clarified. So if I want to do that, we're gonna have to generate a bit more heat for everybody. So you can see here, just looking at the kind of health of the thing and what's happening, is, you know, we've got shelter scarcity, we've got hunger, we've got squalor. That those problems are marginally increased by the fact that we've got places that are all chilly. So that's livable. That's right. That's a housing district. It's right next to the generator. But we're gonna have to do better, I think. Oh, first death. Dong, somebody died. You see, there are now up to 54 people incapable of work. Cold, tired, emergency shifts, knocking people out. Maybe, could be. This is also livable. But we're going to chuck on emergency shifts. Again, doesn't decrease your standing with the people. One event. Oh, here we go. So this is a bit weird. So for the recently dead, they put them in oil pits. And more deaths erodes trust in leaders. Trust in relations fall every time people die. It's a bit of an odd thing to put them in oil, because oil's like a preservative, isn't it? Doesn't it inhibit organic growth, which is why things are preserved in oil? So you just end up with a whole pit full of dead people and oil. Would they break? I don't know. I've never done it. I can't say. Right, more houses. Does it matter? Does it matter where you build the houses? Will they generate heat? Do you have to build them next to the heat source? All questions about which I simply don't have answers, I'm sorry to say. But it's a district, so it needs to be a contiguous collection of tiles. So I don't think you can't just like pop random tiles in random places. You know, all the tiles have to be grouped together. That's what contiguous means. So there you go. Is there an area effect of heat? There was in the old game. I'm presuming there's some area of effect in this game. I mean, they had it in the last game, so I'm presuming they have it in this game. How are we doing? We're stockpiling food, but given that there's 47, we've been at this for 20 weeks, and we're only at like 2,000. Throw on the emergency shifts, my boy. What is that? 95 people incapable of work. So the emergency shift is having their effect. The smoke from the squalor is huge, isn't it? It's huge. It's quite big. It's a problem. Oh, is that a dead people? A whole load of dead and injured due to emergency shifts. Yoink. 124 people. 122 people now incapable of work. C'est la vie. Again. How much food are we stockpiling? We are that's materials. We're doing okay with materials. So maybe, yeah, I'm just messing about with the material numbers. How much materials do you need, really? I mean, I suppose it says in the get like gold. It's got this like gold and red. I'm calling it gold anyway. Then that's fine, but we're still short of houses. We're also way short of food. We'll need more stuff before building more houses. What do we need? We're short of prefabs. We cut down on the prefabs, but then we used a lot, so we're going to have to crank the prefabs up a little bit. Or wait. Just having a look at heat generation and heat use here. See, so it tells you that 60 is required. And the red is 80. I think that's if you give everybody what they want, you have those two numbers. So that unfulfilled number would be to get everybody to sort of like livable, I suppose. So really we need to be generating more oil because we need to be generating more heat. And you can zoom in to see the dreadnought. There's some little people down there, which is interesting. So yeah, do we make more oil? Do we generate more heat? What do we do? And again, with Frostpunk, the original, it obviously took into account the fact that people work here for 8 to 10 hour, maybe 12-hour days if you're doing emergency shifts, 12-hour, 14-hour days. So the temperature of your extractors matters, So if you're not keeping an eye on the temperature in the areas where your people are working, they're still going to get sick. Okay, thank you, Necton Fincham, the Wanderer. Huddle near the furnace, easier to trap the warmth. Yes, it is. Very nice. Anyway, we've got our materials. Got a slight materials deficit now. Prefabs is low. 185 people incapable of work. 5 people out of housing. 20, 40, 60, 80 heat now required to heat the various districts. We're still making a surplus, but we're not supplying it all. We're not using it all, should I say. We've not cranked up the heat in these areas yet. Do we, don't we? I'm just thinking about, could you build on the other side of the dreadnought, but it doesn't seem to be transferring the heat. But I mean, that might change. I didn't do it in this playthrough. My assumption was that those places were already warm, so I was just going to stick with those places that were actually pretty warm. Obviously realizing that you need to have areas cleared for you to use them, for you to build in, and that there may also be areas that you can't build in for whatever reason. And the game says, no, not letting you build there. So I kind of figured, well, okay, can I just build around this extractor? Would that help? Because the extractor's already warm. But again, it's not, at this stage, it's not as clear cut. If building around an extractor gets you more heat, because in the original Frostpunk game you had to build heat generators. You don't seem to do that here. You just change the heat level. And also, we're going to need more oil. So that's some things underway. There's nearly, what is that now? Nearly 200 people injured or sick or whatever. You see the temperature's not looking great, and the squalor is still not looking great. Presumably the squalor is due to the fact that people are not housed. And maybe squalor is also a measure of overall livability of the districts, like of everything, you know what I mean? So like how warm you are where you live, etc. Got an event. Got an event. Oh, here we go. Right. So, an old woman. Some people are ready to sacrifice themselves to lower the food required, right? So some of the old people are like, well, I've had enough of this. Time to go wander off into the ice drifts, Mr. Oates. So it doesn't, oddly enough, doesn't give me an option to send them right now. I think maybe I just didn't access the event correctly. Or does it? Does it have it down there? Is it scraps? Give back scraps. I don't have enough scraps to be giving back scraps right now. Oh, and the event is tighten the belts. I think at this stage, we got 44 weeks ahead of us. And the stockpiles won't be ready for about another nearly 70. We're going to have to do something. So we've got emergency shifts working, and we've told the people to tighten their belts, which obviously doesn't make us very popular as a president, premier, czar, monarch, whatever we are. Captain, that's right, they call people the captain. Captain. Aye, aye, captain. So we're not a very popular captain. But, like I say, I think a lot of this game is about balancing unpopularity, not balancing popularity. And we got an event. Seals. I said, anyone want to go clubbing? You know what I mean. Seals, amazing. Seals are alive. Yes, it's gotten cold outside, but seals are used to living in the cold. And there are some fish on the planet that have antifreeze in their blood, so I'm sure everything under the sea, ice, is fine, and seals know how to get through ice and maintain ice holes and everything, so there you go. Yeah, so seals, I guess they'd be a useful food source, but by gum, they're a bit of a direction away. A bit of a direction away, you know. If I'd known in advance this was coming, obviously I could have built out in that direction, but I don't. This is all new to me and a surprise to me, so I'm just going on brute force thinking, as it were. There's no real planning going on here. So we need more oil for heat. Get some more heat sorted, because it's still showing me as reduced cold to minor cold. And you do get benefit from fulfilling some of these little needs quests that pop up to say, oh, I need this and I need that and all the rest of it. I'm of a mixed mind about these little need-driven quests. I didn't particularly like them in the original game, Frostpunk, and I'm not sure if there's too many of them I'm going to like it in Frostpunk 2. I mean, I guess we'll see going forward just exactly how many of these little needy kind of quests go. It's getting cold. They're a no benefit distraction. You know, you can't make the right decision. Whatever you do usually pisses somebody off. They take time, money, and effort to fix, and if you do get it right, you don't get a massive benefit. So I've never really been a fan of those, because it's busy work, you know. It's like, this is not helping me with my game. So here we go. Our stores are almost full, but we still need more for the whiteout. We need to secure hubs that can house our rations. So we've run out of capacity. We're still not even at 10k. We're 40 weeks out. So in 20 weeks, we haven't even done 10k of the 40k that we need. So it's certainly a problem, but we need to build a hub. It's going to take me a while to find a hub, but the hubs are there. They're actually on that wheel. They're over on the right. If I keep going over, there they are. No, I went straight past them. Just missed it. I didn't really understand what I was looking for. I'm like, how do you build a stockpile hub? It's alright, I'm going to find it. You go down here and you go through there, and then you take a left, over the bridge, under the bridge, right, then left, right. Oh look, there you go. This way, there's buildings. Oh really? That's how you do that. Oh, down science research. Very nice. Don't get into research. I'm assuming it consumes something. People? It consumes people. Feed people into the grinder. Keep going, you'll find it, mate. Keep going now. Tab left. Tab left or tab right, will you? Yeah, there you go. Now go back. That's the one. Food stockpile hub. That's what you want. It's right in there. Yeah. You need stuff. More prefabs. You only got 14. Stockpile capacity for food. Gonna want that. I tell you, you're gonna want that. Have at least one. Okay. That's a fair goal. Right, we still haven't finished building 3 housing districts, have we? I know. Oh yeah, that's happening. We'll get that done. Allocate enough heat to achieve livable or warmer in all inhabited housing districts. So we've kept the cold one sorted. So I don't exactly know about that one. It was a bit of a weird. It's a bit of a weird. What do you call it? Quest, goal, objective. Anyway, can I get down there to the seal colony? I tell you what, I don't think so. I don't think so. I also need people. You need people to run a district. You do. you know, 200 or so, maybe 250 or so. And if you don't have those people, you can't run a district, which is a bit of a problem. And we also just need to make sure that, yeah, nothing's, because obviously the temperatures drop. We don't want more people getting sick. How to make stockpiles. So, stockpiles are like right next to food places. So, I mean, obviously, I guess I say food places. Stockpiles for food are right next to food places. I'm assuming you can stockpile everything. Really. Oh, hello. People have died. So, yeah. And a time limit to get to those seals. Those seals are obviously not there forever. So how far is that to the seal colony? Well, it's a bit of a distance. There's also, what is that? Is that oil down there? We're gonna run out. We're gonna run out. We've only got 34 people left. Remember, we started with 5,000. We're now down to just under 3. We've lost 2,000 people. You lose them fast, it seems. I mean, I do. I don't know if you do, but I do. And the whiteout's not that far away, so we need to kind of make sure we've yeah, maybe I've mismanaged the people a little bit. Let too many people die, you might say. Too late to fix that, do you think? Hard to know. It's quite a lot of fuel heat required now. Right. Shocked at the sight of seals. Yes. Should we slay them if the Lord spared them? I think so. Maybe they were spared so we could eat them. Right? I mean, we probably won't kill them all. Can't really take emergency shifts off. We're going to be ready in 48 weeks at the current rate if we want to get to 40,000. That's a bit of a problem, right? Because that's a bit of a problem, especially seeing as it's not 48 weeks until the whiteout. And more people have died. More people have died and been injured due to emergency shifts. Yes, I do understand. I am terribly sorry to say, but we still need to do it. Sorry, making a lot of unnecessary noise over here. Decisions, decisions, decisions. Whatever to do. Other than noodle about, trying to figure out just exactly what you can do, I suppose. Get a food stockpile hub going. That's what we need to do. We know we need to do that. That's definitely a thing that we need to do. Even so, 40,000. good if we could get there, wouldn't it? We just don't have enough people. No, sorry. I've only got 50 people. We can't even build a district because we don't have enough people. So we're a bit stuffed on that front. Need at least 100, I think, for that. Yeah. I'm not quite grasping the gravity of the situation just yet. I'm like, why can't I do that? And then I go, oh. Oh, I see. That's not happening. Not happening at all. We're going to have to focus on other targets. Other goals. Stockpiles ready in 46 weeks. And we're working all 3 of them. And we're working emergency shifts. And we're still killing people. And we don't have, it's like a death spiral. It's like I can see this game being full of death spirals. You can't go any further because people are dying. You can't stop people from dying. So the elders decide that perhaps they might do the honorable thing and wander off into the white. If you'd gotten to the seal colony, you could choose the option of slaughtering the seals to eat them. I didn't get to the colony. So, again, you got to make a decision. You've got to make a decision, and the decision is that the elderly have to go. That brings my stockpile requirement down from 40,000 to 25,000. And it doesn't reduce your workforce. So it said in there, you know, you get to do this, it won't reduce your workforce because these are people that are no longer on the workforce. Right, so they're the elderly of the community. So the elderly go for a little bit of a Frank Boff. So that's what the seals would help you with. And I didn't get that opportunity. So there you go. Anyway, we progress. We must move on and do what must be done. Or not, in the case. You want to be no old people to have that conversation with. We're not a million miles away from the whiteout. What we do, what's left to do? Noodle about? Change some things? Well, we still don't have a lot of capacity. We've got 303 people. There's no medical treatment facility yet. I'm presuming there will be in the main game. Like I said, this is just the introductory prologue to get you used to the interface, the concepts, the pacing, the dilemma, the choice and decision making, etc., etc. All those kinds of things. I don't know the full length of what's in the game, obviously. I mean, everything we're doing everything okay at this stage, and we're not doing anything bad. We're going to be fully stockpiled up in 18 weeks. But how do we get people better? You know, and it said it's one of those things. Too many people are sick. You can't then generate heat. If you can't generate heat, more people get sick. The more people that get sick, the less people can work, which means you can't generate even more heat and so on. That used to happen a lot in Frostpunk. You'd end up getting into these spirals where it's just game over. And once you saw it coming, you're best off quitting. So anyway, another seamstress. There's no more stories from Grandma. Yeah, well, there you go. Sorry, Grandma. See you later. The Elder's sacrifices greatly reduced stuff. I didn't get to read that. Sorry. I'm not going back. I don't think it changes how much people don't like me. People aren't super keen on me. I mean, you can see there that it's flashing red. And it's dropped again. Because of the situation with the emergency shifts. So we got We've got 11 weeks to get through, and we'll be stockpiled in like 6 weeks' time. So we just gotta hang on. You know, which is, yeah, that felt, a lot of Frostpunk felt like you're just hanging on, vaguely hoping that you don't end up destroying your community. Given that this stockpile has run out, I needed, or not stockpile, this extractor has run out, we need to demolish it, get some stuff back. So we can do that. Then go back to demolish. We'll get some prefabs and some scraps back because it's useless for us now. I hope it's not the kind of thing you have to juggle in the main game where you like expand and then you have to contract again and then expand again and contract again. And I guess it depends on the decisions you make. Hey, there we go. We secured enough food, which is awesome. And we just need to keep people warm. And we just need to survive. So we need to survive. We're 5 weeks out. So we just need to probably ease off on the emergency shifts, which is fine. It seems to be that it's a case of once you've hit the number, it doesn't care. It doesn't care if you start using stuff, although I think it's showing still in the top. We've still got a surplus. We're still generating more than we're using, I should say. So yeah, I mean, we got a few people back. 107 is that? But we still got 444 people. I mean, are they gradually getting better or are they gradually dying? No, it's going up and down. 450, 452, 448. Hey, the whiteout is here. And there you go. We made it. For a change. Not like me. There you go. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is Frostpunk 2. We made it through the prologue, which is pretty good. We haven't on the easiest setting, and we didn't even get everything. So oh my gosh, the real game is going to be hard. But there will be a season coming of Frostpunk 2. I will be pulling something together, and it will be coming up on my channel, and we will take it from there, and we'll see how it goes. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me. I do sincerely hope you like it, and if you have liked this and it has worked, please click that like, please subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all again real soon. Ta-ta for now.